This is the DAR Today podcast, and I'm your host, Brooke, Bullmaster Stewart. Well, here we are. We are at year 3 of the Wright administration with that review, talking about all of the wonderful things that happened within that last year, from the end of Continental Congress in 2024 up to today. So we're reviewing these things, the amazing things that have happened, the amazing committees that were started during the Wright administration. We'll also touch on that. The start of these 250th anniversary celebrations, right? Our semi-quincentennial started in this last year. So that's going to be neat to talk about a few of those events. And here I am, of course, in Eastern North Carolina now, instead of California. But the 250th birthday of our nation, of course, is happening everywhere. Wherever there are daughters, that's where it's happening, because America, of course, is her people. And so regardless of whether you are here in North Carolina or DC or Maine or in Italy, or as we'll see next week in Ireland or in California or Alaska, wherever you are as a daughter of the American Revolution, that is where the semi-quincentennial is for you. And so what will you be doing in your communities to celebrate these grand anniversaries of these things that have happened to create our nation and to honor those who fought for our nation? So wherever you are, that's where you can make that impact in your communities. And so that'll be a neat legacy, I think, to have for our organization, is to have been such a key helper and planner in the different events that happen in the communities. Because wherever you're at, right, wherever you happen to be, that's the perfect place to celebrate our semi-quincentennial. And of course, we just had Flag Day. Did y'all fly your flags? And of course, that massive parade in DC honoring our Army, 250 years of our Army. What a way to celebrate those who have served. It's been wonderful to see what our President General, Pamela Wright, has been doing for the 250th anniversaries that have already started. But it'll be really neat to hear about what the next administration will be doing to celebrate our 250th anniversary. Now, next Monday, we will have an episode that premieres, but of course, everybody will be arriving at Continental Congress, maybe making their way over. And for those who are just going to be watching virtually online, we're excited that all of you are here with us. And of course, we ask that you like and subscribe to this podcast. And as always, hey, thanks so much for being here with us today. Year 3 of the Wright administration began once the 133rd Continental Congress adjourned. The pomp and circumstance of our annual meetings and events never grow old, and all Congress attendees left feeling recharged and excited for the upcoming DAR year as we celebrate Stars and Stripes forever. On July 3rd, 1776, John Adams wrote to his wife Abigail that the date of American independence, and I quote, ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, bells and bonfires and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward forevermore, end quote. Sounds pretty neat to me. Freedom is something to be celebrated and not forgotten. Well, to help mark the 248th anniversary of our nation's founding in 2024, 56 dedicated daughters from across the country donned their patriotic red, white, and blue to proudly participate in the National Independence Day Parade in Washington, D.C. Leading this spirited group were several enthusiastic CAR members driven by Beverly and Douglas Toome in a 1915 Model T Ford, symbolizing the enduring legacy of our country's heritage. As daughters marched past iconic landmarks, they represented our national society with pride and dedication before an audience of thousands of spectators. Despite the challenging heat, the camaraderie and patriotism of the day shone brightly, creating unforgettable memories for all involved. Following the parade, participants were treated to a well-deserved reception in the We the People dining hall at DAR headquarters. Here, they celebrated the 4th of July, rehydrated, and relived some of the excitement of their mile-long march down Constitution Avenue. Have you ever thought about marching in this historic event on Independence Day? Be sure to look out for announcements before Continental Congress starts, looking for those who would like to participate. Yes, it's usually hot and humid, but so much fun as well. September saw the dedication of the mammoth and incredibly impactful World War I memorial sculpture in Washington, D.C., standing adjacent to the Willard and J.W. Marriott hotels. DAR has been a huge supporter of this project, and it was with great pride that we saw this sculpture unveiled. Now, on the podcast, we had the great honor to interview Sabin Howard, the sculptor of this piece, along with one of the models he used for the project. We'll leave a link in the show notes to that episode in case you'd like to see it. Also in the third year of the Wright administration, the DAR Museum unveiled a new exhibition called Sewn in America, Making, Meaning, Memory. For the first time, quilts, samplers, and decorative needlework, clothing, household linens, sewing tools, and other sewing-related objects from the early 1700s filled the DAR Museum Gallery to allow visitors to examine what a huge task sewing, creating, and mending clothes was before industrialization and ready-to-wear. The first section, Making, looked at how girls learned to sew through making samplers and doll clothes and learned to practice mending and darning as well. The second section of the exhibition, entitled Meaning, examined how women, in creating these pieces for their families, showed the care and loving affection they had for them, sometimes even expressing emotions in their creations, expressing their identity many times in the making of these objects. The section of the exhibit entitled Meaning documented how women, especially before they had the right to vote or were allowed by social norms to speak out publicly on social or political issues, used their sewing and creations to support the causes for which they felt passionately. You might remember the segment of the podcast we had on this exhibit. We'll leave a link in the show notes to that episode as well. Now, September of 2024 found not only the return of crisp fall air for many across the country, but also for the first time in the history of the National Society, DAR was approved as an official charity by the Combined Federal Campaign, which means that DAR would be able to participate in one of the largest and most successful workplace charity campaigns in the world. The CFC connects federal employees and retirees with the causes they care about most. The potential for donated dollars to aid DAR in its mission just took a huge leap forward. Also in September, daughters reached out to local schools regarding DAR's various contests, from the DAR Good Citizens Award and Scholarship Contest to the American History Essay Contest. This particular essay contest theme was Enjoying a New Kind of Tea Party. The prompt requested that students in grades 5 through 8 imagine that they were participants in the Edenton Tea Party in North Carolina in 1775, helping the children to better understand this key moment in U.S. history and the consideration and courage it must have required to take part. High school students in grades 9 through 12 were encouraged to submit an entry to the Patriots of the American Revolution DAR History Essay Contest, writing on figures from the Revolutionary era. Also new within the Wright administration, as part of the American History Committee, is the new video contest. Be sure to check out the members' website on the American History Committee page for details. Now, writing about the Edenton Tea Party fits perfectly with the fact that the National Society remembered the Edenton Tea Party. On October 18th, the National Society dedicated an America 250 Patriots marker in Edenton, North Carolina. In 1774, 51 women from Edenton, North Carolina, signed the Edenton Resolves to protest British taxes on tea, and in so doing, noted that they would not drink any more tea nor wear any more British cloth. This was a significant and dangerous statement for women with little to no standing. And as you probably know if you're a frequent listener or watcher of this podcast, we have covered the Edenton Resolves with a story about those brave women. And what a joy that was. And of course, we just might leave a link in the show notes for you to that episode as well. Now next we're on to Yorktown, Virginia, and Mrs. Wright and many of our DAR members attended Yorktown Days, an extraordinary annual event in Yorktown, of course, with a parade along with many wreaths laid to honor fallen patriots. That same day, there was also a very significant groundbreaking and dedication ceremony for the DAR Pathway of the Patriots. We daughters have been looking forward to this for years. In partnership with the American Battlefield Trust, the DAR Pathway of the Patriots honors our nation's upcoming 250th anniversary through a gift of 250 trees planted as a living tribute to honor the memory and the spirit of the men and women who achieved American independence. All individuals, chapters, and state societies who donated funds to make this project possible are heartily congratulated. Like the mythical phoenix rising from the ashes, Memorial Continental Hall's facade re-emerged from the recently removed scaffolding, looking like a new building. All gone is the black dirt and broken mortar, and in its place are gleaming gray-white Vermont marble blocks held together, standing firm with new white mortar joints. The hard work of the architectural conservators and skilled craftsmen is apparent everywhere you look. Following careful cleaning, they made many repairs to the stone, especially on the balustrade along the roofline. The intricate 1910 arched transoms over the bronze memorial doors are now clean, with missing elements replaced with exact reproductions. All this work was carefully done by hand to protect and conserve the original surfaces. Much still needs to be accomplished to bring Memorial Continental Hall back to its original luster, but we are well on our way. Also, in this final year of the Wright administration, the Executive Committee was excited to announce that the DAR Patriots of Color database is now available on the 10 Million Names website. You'll see that at 10millionnames.org. In 2023, DAR became one of the founding collaborating institutions supporting this initiative, which includes family historians, leading African American scholars, and cultural institutions who are working to recover the names of nearly 10 million people of African descent who were enslaved before 1865 in pre- and post-colonial America. Through DAR's various efforts to highlight the stories of Revolutionary War patriots, place historic markers, and expand research and resources, we raise awareness and preserve the memory and spirit of those who contributed to securing American independence. In November, over 125 daughters, spouses, and guests arrived in Paris, France, and kicked off the second international trip of the Wright administration. The President General and several executive officers were honored to begin the French celebrations early by attending the Rochambeau chapter's 90th anniversary gala dinner, where Mrs. Wright brought greetings and highlighted the depth of friendship between America and France. What a pleasure it was to join with our units overseas to commemorate this wonderful achievement. It was a unique privilege to dine in the historic Luxembourg Palace, home to the French Senate, alongside special guest French Senator Martha de Cidrac. Congratulations to Rochambeau Chapter Regent Catherine Armand on a fabulous night. Mrs. Wright also had the privilege of being in Paris on Armistice Day and was honored to represent the National Society at the Arc de Triomphe for the official commemoration ceremonies, joining President Emmanuel Macron at his generous invitation to join his viewing party. It was incredibly moving to be among the French people and reflect on the enormous sacrifices of those who gave their lives for liberty in the First World War. Our daughters proudly wore poppy lapel pins in appreciation and recognition. Moving from France to Italy, the executive board and a small group of guests traveled to Italy as a follow-up to last year's trip to now officially and permanently place a beautiful bust in recognition of Filippo Mazzei, a tremendous friend to America in her fight for freedom. Mr. Mazzei, a friend to Thomas Jefferson, is credited with not only encouragement to continue in this fight for freedom, but also expressing to Mr. Jefferson in very direct terms the idea that all men are created equal. Now, as we know, the only thing constant is change, and in December, the Wright administration gave members an early holiday gift as they unveiled the newly redesigned DAR website. This update brings a fresh look, simplified navigation, and improved functionality, all designed to better serve members as well as the public audience. All the information's daughters relied on remained available, just with a modernized design to make finding what is needed easier than ever. One of DAR's favorite holiday traditions is to honor our veterans through the Wreaths Across America program. Daughters nationwide purchase wreaths and place them on the graves of our nation's heroes. Early in 2025, the National Society mourned the loss of Honorary President General Linda Tinker Watkins. Mrs. Watkins served as President General of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution from 2001 to 2004. She joined the Daughters of the American Revolution as a junior member in 1968. Mrs. Wright fondly remembered Mrs. Watkins with the following tribute, and I quote, "Linda was an incredible woman and an impactful President General who advanced our National Society greatly during her term. She made a difference in the lives of many daughters with her kindness, dignity, and strong faith. She brought the National Society forward through a myriad of improvements, including members being listed by given names instead of their husbands' names. Linda gave me the opportunity to serve the National Society with my first appointment to a national committee. She was a dear friend, a steadfast mentor, and she will be missed." End quote. February is a time to celebrate the work of DAR chapters and members as the Chapter Master Report results are submitted. Chapter data is compiled across the National Society and provides an official record supported by this data, submitted annually to Congress through the Smithsonian Institution. DAR members are women of action who serve their communities, and the data is one way we measure the aggregate impact that the Society is having across the nation. Mrs. Wright was pleased to announce that Daughters have achieved an all-time record in Service to America volunteer hours for 2024, and that was 7,405,634 hours. In March, the nation observed Women's History Month, and of course, the DAR has been a steadfast supporter of the Military Women's Memorial since the creation of its foundation in 1985. And with DAR's recent significant donation to the memorial's important renovation efforts, the DAR has now proudly provided cumulative donations totaling $1 million in support since the memorial's inception. Located at the entrance to Arlington National Cemetery, the Military Women's Memorial is the nation's only major national memorial to honor all women who have defended the nation. The memorial ensures that future generations of girls and women are inspired to serve their country through military service. The Military Women's Memorial is set to relaunch with all new gallery spaces in 2027 in honor of their 30th anniversary, and DAR is looking forward to celebrating with them. We hope that DAR members across the globe are proud of the DAR's ongoing commitment to support and recognize the legacy of servicewomen in the United States. You know it's spring at our DAR headquarters in Washington, D.C. when you find the beautiful cherry blossoms in full bloom. Well, this spring marked a very special commemoration in the run-up to America's semi-quincentennial, the 250th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, known colloquially as the Shot Heard Round the World. These battles were the Revolutionary War's first armed conflict and officially marked the beginning of our America's semi-quincentennial celebrations. Though outnumbered, Massachusetts militias successfully countered the British Redcoats. During the battles, 49 American patriots were killed. The America 250 Committee celebrated Massachusetts from April 14th to 15th for its role in the success of the American Revolution. The celebration featured a candlelight tour in Boston, historic site visits in Lexington and Concord, and the dedication of an America 250 Patriots marker. Now, do you remember that goal we talked about when doing the recap of year one of this administration? The goal was to get a collective of 15 million hours in the 3 years of the Wright administration. Well, Mrs. Wright announced that we have surpassed 20 million volunteer Service to America hours during her administration. As a service organization, our service speaks for us and is our most important tool for advancing historic preservation, education, and patriotism. Our founders undoubtedly would be proud of this accomplishment. Now, this episode is premiering on Monday, June 16th, but at the end of this week, Mrs. Wright and her executive board will have the honor of laying a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington Cemetery, as they do every year. What a wonderful way to show DAR's continued commitment to honoring those who have served. So before we close out this recap of the final year of the Wright administration, let me ask, did you notice the new committees that came about with this administration? One was the Commerce Committee. This was formed to provide member support and insight to the DAR store and the DAR Insignia store. Committee members are tasked with special projects to assist staff and to enhance the online store presence and process. What a great idea! The DAR Genealogy Commission is an exciting compilation of 9 genealogy committees. Think about that. Now, all of these committees are working in partnership with each other. The DAR SAR SR Relations Committee is a new committee and promoted the relationship with the National Society Sons of the American Revolution and the General Society Sons of the Revolution and the DAR. Now also the Franco-American Memorial Committee celebrates all things French in our American history. The French explorers in the Mississippi Valley, the French patriots who helped win our independence, the Lafayette Escadrille in World War I, the American soldiers who landed at Normandy and freed World War II France. And looking forward, hopefully, are working together as two nations devoted to the preservation of today's world democracy. Established under the Wright administration, the NSDAR Technology Planning Commission's mission is to work with the National Society's Information Systems Department at headquarters to research and test enhancements to existing software systems, as well as to explore new software systems that further the mission and operational effectiveness of the NSDAR. Now, this is not the New Technology Support Committee. That's another new committee. But this one, this Technology Planning Commission, stays abreast of technology developments, makes reports and recommendations to the Executive Board on coming trends, and develops guidelines for new platforms. So necessary with how quickly technology changes. Okay, so we mentioned the Technology Support Committee. Another exciting adjustment with the Wright administration was the changing of the way the technology was handled in our DAR work. The NSDAR Technology Support Committee was born, helping the Executive Board and national chairs with the many things that are needed of a technical nature, especially regarding our current website. And then, of course, speaking of all the new committees, I would be remiss if I didn't mention possibly one of my favorite new committees to be created during the Wright administration, the DAR Today Podcast Committee. Mrs. Wright wanted so much to get the word out to members and the public alike, all about what DAR is doing today. We truly hope we've created podcasts that can last for years to come to serve as a testament to who we are as a society. Now, for our members, I'm sure you know, our President General's monthly messages always featured the Wright administration's theme of Celebrate Stars and Stripes Forever, Rejoice in our DAR ties of service and friendship. Now, these phrases become almost second nature, but represent important ideas that, it is hoped, all members will keep in their hearts as we move forward together. First, in all your DAR activities, never lose sight of the mission that unites us as we celebrate our nation's rich history and our communities. And second, remember that all of us, each member, has a valued place within our society. Service begins with putting others' needs above our own, with each act a tribute to our patriot ancestors who put their country first. We leave you today with this quote by Jane Hybels. "The best thing I ever did was tiptoe out of isolation and join the circle of women. We need to choose to believe we are all in this together. We need to accept and honor our own lives so we can accept and honor each other's lives. When we do this, when we help one another, cheer one another on, call one another to our truest and highest selves, we become a powerful force for good, for God, in this world. If ever the world needed an army of good women who dare to make a difference with their lives, it is now." Well, thanks for listening and be well, dear friends. Let's celebrate the stars and stripes forever and remember, with all of your ancestors behind you, you are the result of the love of thousands. This podcast was written and produced by our incredible team of writers and editors, and we are, as always, so grateful for President General Pamela Rouse Wright and Historian General Suzanne Heskey for their constant guidance, and to Paula Macco and Allison Manella for being so generous with their time. The National Society Daughters of the American Revolution is a nonprofit, non-political volunteer women's service organization dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and securing America's future through better education for children. Members are all lineal descendants of those who supported the cause of independence and the Revolutionary War. For more information, please visit dar.org. This is the DAR Today podcast.